Hey, what's up, everyone? Back for this Monday slate. We have 11 games on tap for NBA tonight. Entering Thanksgiving week is always one of my favorite weeks, just in terms of life and DFS. So let's get into it. You can like the video down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's try to get 150 likes on the video if we can. Starting off here at point guard, we have LeBron James at 11-2. It's a really good matchup for him and for this Lakers team facing San Antonio. They've been awful defensively. So LeBron, no problem there. His price tag is, though, you're not getting any sort of discount on him. He went from being like in the 9Ks earlier this month. Now he's up to 11Ks. Not much of a discount. I will probably not get there. I don't mind going to Damian Lillard at 8,900. He's once again struggled with his shot, just 7 of 20, but still playing big minutes. He flirted with a triple-double. He's going to just have to take on so much more offensively. Just with this team, they're off to a slow start. If they want to have any chance of getting back into the playoff race, Lillard's going to have to carry them night in and night out. It's a good matchup against the Bulls team. Don't mind him at that price tag. Donovan Mitchell went off, last time out. That was when he was 7,900. Talked about him. He's too underpriced in that matchup. Now at 8,400, I think he's more appropriately priced. I think he's fine, but definitely won't stand out. McCollum's way too expensive, and Fleet's priced up. I think Dinwiddie's a great option once again, 7,600. But the guy that I am liking a lot and just is really, really cheap is Malcolm Brogdon, 6,000 for him. He's coming back from a back injury. He said he's 100% healthy. Not expected to be on a minutes limit, I do not assume. Before he was hurt, he was 7,600. It's just a misprice on Draftkings. I mean, this is should be a cash lock at least. Tournament tough fade. Just because before he got hurt, he was like $2,000 more expensive than he is right now. He was leading the team in usage, was racking up a bunch of double-doubles, high assist games, taking a bunch of shots, and still wasn't shooting the ball great from three, so that's something that he can improve on. But playing big minutes, 6K, in a pace-up spot against the Grizzlies, signed me up for some Malcolm Brogdon. Over at shooting guard here, Bogdanovic I think he's uncertain for Monday. We'll see if he can give it a go. Don't mind him there. If he's out, then we could look at some other Kings, but we need some clarity on that news. But without Kemba Walker, who's doubtful, do not expect him to play in this one. Liking Marcus Smart here at 6,000. I like how he's point guard eligible here. Price tag is right where it's gone down a couple $100. The matchup is good. He's going to have to take on a little bit more ball handling responsibilities. Last time in the second half, last game when Kemba went out in the second half, they started Semi Ojeleye. So if they do something like that again, then Smart will be the point guard and will have a lot of playmaking responsibilities and assist responsibilities. So either way, if he starts at point guard or starts shooting guard, he's still going to probably see more minutes. And some of these games have been very, very ugly for him in shooting perspective, shooting-wise, but at least he is taking shots. And even the fact that he's shooting this poorly, he's still been making value most nights just because he gets it done with steals and rebounds and a couple assists. At small forward here, Isaac, coming off a great game, is priced up to 7,900. Don't mind him here. The matchup is obviously a little tougher, but Pacers are also a good defensive team, so it's a slow-paced game against Detroit, but Isaac, I still think he can make value at 7,900. He's just priced up. When you have Jimmy Butler cheaper than him in a great matchup against Charlotte, DeRozan's cheaper than him, I think. Maybe on Fanduel, I prefer him a lot as of now. And we got these Celtics guys so cheap. At small forward, I'm loving Jason Tatum. 6,900 for Tatum. He gets the biggest boost without Kemba Walker. If you run the rates, he's averaging over 1.2 DraftKings points per minute. It's still a relatively small sample size, so I still like Jaylen Brown. But if I had to just pick one of them, it would be Tatum, with him just being $100 more than Brown. He's had some pretty big games as of late, and without Walker here, it's a decent matchup against Sacramento. He's just gonna have to just be the number one guy on offense, number one, number two. Him and Jaylen Brown should really lead the team in scoring every night until Kemba's back. Just too cheap here at 6,900 for the new role that he's going to have for this game. At power forward here, Davis, I prefer him over LeBron just because he's much, much cheaper than LeBron at 9,700 against Sacramento. Kevin Love is questionable. We'll see his status. Griffin is 71. That's pretty cheap for Blake. Rashawn Holmes, 6,200. He's been playing really well as of late. He's been, ever since he became the starting center, he's been very solid. The matchup against Boston is really appealing just because they don't have a ton of size at the power forward and center position. So that's kind of what you can look at. I don't mind Jaren Jackson and Lauri Markkanen, both upside plays at cheap prices. At center here, I am going with $6,100 for Hassan Whiteside, who is expected to be back here. I don't expect him to be like on a minutes limit. I don't think he will be. It was a hip injury. They said he can go. I assume he's going to play his normal minutes. And what you like to see with Whiteside is before he got hurt, his minutes were up in that 34, 35-minute range in close games. And when he's out of foul trouble, that's always great to see. He's always been a fantasy point per minute monster. It's always been the minutes concern with him when he was with the Heat and when he was with Portland earlier this year. But if he's going to get these great minutes in close games, you got to like him a lot. Still at a very affordable price tag. I mean, at this price tag, you can drop 40 plus easily in this matchup against the Bulls. They are awful at rebounding the basketball. He should just do what he wants in the paint here. Should get down a ton of rebounds. Pretty much a lock for a double-double tonight. I think he can get like 14, 15 rebounds maybe, just because the Bulls are that bad at rebounding the basketball. At guard here, I think Evan Fournier is still at a nice price point just because he is $6,400. We knew he's going to have to take on a new role with them missing Gordon and Vucevic, and that definitely happened. He took 23 shots. He hadn't taken more than 18 before that game. So that's just some ripple effects. The price tag still is very affordable on him at $6,400. He's been very consistent playing big minutes, and he's going to have to be their number one guy on offense. Just because they don't have, Vucevic was that guy, Gordon was, like number 2, number 3 guy. So without those two, the starting lineup is just going to revolve around Fournier in terms of shooting the basketball. Him and Isaac will dominate the shots. And at $6,400, I think he's still affordable enough at that price point. And then at center here, util, I like Turner at $6,100. Just the matchup is really appealing. A pace-up spot against the Grizzlies. He hasn't been great. Last time out, only put up 26. That matchup was against Orlando. But the Grizzlies have been one of the worst teams in the league against centers, top 5 in Draftkings points against. He's at home. I still expect good minutes out of him. He's always good with the blocks. You can count on him for that. He has 10 blocks in the last 3 games. And now that he's getting Brogdon back, him and Brogdon maybe can build some chemistry. I mean, they were good earlier in the year. The first couple games, they had some nice chemistry before he got hurt with his ankle injury. And the price point is still appealing. I mean, he should be like $6,500, $6,600, I think, on a nightly basis. And in this matchup, definitely affordable at $61. So I'm just going to run through some other players I like in this range. Definitely like Dinwiddie at $7,600. Levine might get more ownership after his monster game, but he's a decent option, I would say. I like Bam Adebayo, $7,100. Just great matchup against Charlotte. They're awful in the paint, and Bam just lives in the paint. Still like Jaylen Brown at $6,800. Tobias Harris, $6,500, definitely affordable. Burks would be viable if Draymond is out, and he's still kind of viable either way, but if Draymond's out, he'll be definitely a lot easier to get to. Rozier's fine. I like Holmes. Turner, I talked about. Just a lot of centers here in this range, like Turner, Valanciunas, 59, Gallinari. Lots of good options. I think DraftKings did a decent job at pricing, except for a few guys, most notably Malcolm Brogdon is way too cheap. And then if Draymond's in, I think at 56 he would be viable. And talked about a couple of these guys, Markkanen, Jaren Jackson. And it's pretty much it in terms of like guys above 5,000 I would consider. And then for value guys, you have to look at the value that opens up throughout the day. Definitely will have some value. Probably usually on these big slates, we'll always get news dropping in the afternoon, a couple hours before lock. But that's what I like for DraftKings. Over on Fanduel, it's kind of the same deal. At point guard here, I like how they put Marcus Smart at point guard. He was usually a shooting guard, but I definitely like this for him. Always a great play on Fanduel because you get those extra points for blocks and steals, and that's really what he can, that's his bread and butter. At shooting guard, Butler is way too expensive. I think on FanDuel, DraftKings much more affordably priced. He's always been over like 9,400 on FanDuel for whatever reason. Dinwiddie, I like him a lot at 7,800. Just in this range, I think he sticks out. Very consistent. Put up 30 points against the Knicks. Didn't really have a ton of peripherals, but still can get it done. He gets it done with the points, gets it done with the assists, rebounds. If he gets a couple steals, that's just icing on the cake. For a guy like Dinwiddie, he's going to benefit so much who's been benefiting a lot without Irving. We've seen it. And then also a point guard I want to mention, like Brogdon's 8,500 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, like I said, he's way too cheap. So for Brogdon, I definitely prefer him on DraftKings. And then another guy at shooting guard is Fournier, 5,900. Too cheap on FanDuel, I would say. 59 for him. Just super consistent as of late. The shot attempts are going to be there in this one, just without their two big guys in the front court. Didn't have much peripherals, but he's shown that he can get you at least a handful of assists. If he gets a couple steals, maybe a couple rebounds, the minutes are there. The shot attempts are going to be there, and he's a good shooter. So, if everything lines up for him to at least make value at 5,900, and he can have those like 40-point games. Other guy, small forward I like is Jonathan Isaac. Still prefer him on FanDuel just because he's cheaper. Usually you would expect guys to be more expensive on FanDuel, but that's not the case here with John Isaac. Also, like I said, with Smart, you get those extra points for blocks and steals. You got 3 points. And Jonathan Isaac just lives off of those blocks and steals. Last game, he was great. Only played 29 minutes. Not sure if he was in foul trouble, but I still expect him to play like 33 to 35 minutes at least. In this one, decent matchup here. If he's going to be starting he probably is going to start at power forward guarding Blake Griffin. So as long as he stays out of foul trouble, we'll see good minutes. And 7,000, just really affordable. And then another guy at power forward I like is Richaun Holmes. 6,200 for him on FanDuel. Yes, he's been playing well as of late. The matchup is great against Boston. They struggle in the front court, especially the power forwards and centers, just because they don't have a lot of size. Holmes, super aggressive. I expect him to crash the glass. He's been good with blocking shots, and he's had a bunch of games recently where he's put up like 40 plus, or 2 out of his last 3. And as long as he gets some minutes here, if he stays out of foul trouble, if he can get 34 to 36 minutes, feel really good about him hitting value at this cheap price tag. So that is what I like for this Monday slate. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You can like the video if you enjoyed, and good luck today.